Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how I'm going to make the my original character Ned Feratu into a clay doll. First of all, what you want to do is roll some air drying clay or preferably polymer clay into a ball, and you just make it however big you want the doll to be, and obviously it depends how much clay you've got. Then you pinch the middle to create a piece that sticks up in the middle for the nose, and then just make a hole where the mouth is to make a mouth shape, like so. And all I'm doing here is just rounding off the shape of the head, smoothing down any lumpy bits, and just tweaking the shape of the nose and the head a little bit. Then at the back I'm sort of pinching it and changing the shape at the back of the head too. And as you can see, I keep going over the mouth, just pushing in where I want it to be and then smoothing it down with my fingers. Now I'm pinching the back into the neck because I'm making it so that the head and neck are all one piece. And then obviously going over the mouth again in a little bit. Smoothing down as I go along. Polymer clay would be better for this. I'm using some air drying clay, which is actually the worst clay I've ever bought, but I've got loads of it, so I want to use it up. It just dries on me as I'm using it, so it keeps cracking and I have to keep fixing this as I'm sculpting, which is a bit of a pain. It just dries out too fast. So now what I'm doing is using a bit of water, smoothing down over the whole face just with my finger, then poking 2 holes in the bottom of the nose for the nostrils. And at this stage it looks a little bit like a cross between Jack Skellington and Jack Skellington with a nose, which looks a bit weird, but never mind. Then just for ease, to help me do the rest of the sculpture and round the back of the head off, I've stuck it onto the end of a paintbrush, like so. And now what I need to do is create the eyes. So first of all, what I do is roll a ball to the size that I want for the eyeball, and then just make another one exactly the same size as best as I can. So I've just rolled 2 small balls of clay, and then what I'm doing here is I'm just roughing up the texture of the clay a bit, and adding a little bit of water just to help the eyeballs stick in place, and that will hold them in place until I've put the eyelids on. And then what I'm doing is rolling a small ball of clay. This one's too big, so you'll see I'll actually pull this up and start again in a minute. Because what I do to make the eyelids is I roll a ball of clay, flatten it out into a flat circle, cut it in half, and then each semicircle makes the top and bottom eyelid. And I prefer to I'll stick the bottom eyelids on first because it looks better if you've got the top ones overlapping the bottom ones. And just smooth down all the edges to blend it all in and make it look like it's all one piece as opposed to a bit that's just stuck on the surface. Because you really want, when you're making stuff with clay, you want to really smooth down those edges and blend them in really well, and it'll help them stay in place once the clay is dry. This clay is not the best, but that's how you get the pieces to stay in place. And just making the next eyelid exactly the same way. Make a small circle of clay, cut it in half, and each semicircle makes a lid, a bottom and a top lid. Blending all those edges in and pressing it around the eyeball shape that I put in the middle. Then I'm adding the top eyelid, and again smoothing down all those edges. I keep dipping my tool into the water, and that helps keep everything lubricated and stops the clay drying out while I'm working on it, because the eyelids will dry out quite quickly, especially as it's summertime in the UK at the moment, so it's quite warm at the minute. Then what I'm doing is I'm making some slip, which is like a clay glue. Basically what you do is you mix some small amount of clay in with some water until you make like a paste, and you can use that to fill little gaps and holes, which is what I'm doing here, and also you can use it to stick 2 pieces of clay together, which is what I do when I stick the ears on in a little bit. And what I'm doing is I've just put a little bit around the mouth because the mouth was cracking as I moved the head, and so I've just used it to help fill that in. So it's sort of like polyfiller. I'm using it to fill the cracks. Then just smoothing down in little bits at the back. As I was working on it, the clay kept cracking and the neck went all really weird in a minute, so you'll see I'll actually mess with that and then just take off half the clay because it all was all cracking and buckling. So yeah, as you can see, I just took that off. I don't need a massive piece for the neck anyway, just enough so I've got something to help attach it to the body later on. And that was the head part. Then what I need to do now is make 2 ears, and what I do is I'll roll 2 balls of clay and then pinch one end so they make like a sort of teardrop Spock ear type shape, and then just add a little bit of detail with my clay tool in the middle to create the middle part of the ear. There's roughly 2 little ear shapes. Then what I need to do is get that to stick on the head, so I'm just deciding where I want it to stick, and then I'm roughing up the texture of the clay, adding some of the slip that I made, roughing up the texture on the back of the ear and wetting it, and then that helps those 2 pieces of clay stick together. And then I'm just smoothing down the edges, blending the edges of the ear in with the surface of the head. And then I'll do exactly the same on the other side with the other ear. Just have to make sure you get the ear lined up with the other one. And then blend those edges in too. So that's his 2 little ears. And then what I need to do now is make his 2 little fangs, because he is a little vampire character. And I had trouble getting the clay to roll because my table's new, so the surface is really shiny and smooth, so as I was trying to roll it, it was just sticking to my finger. But I managed to roll it really small and then just pinch the ends to get the shape of the fangs that I wanted. That's me just checking the length. And then I poked 2 holes in the mouth, added some of the slip that I made to help hold the fangs in place. If they pop out, I'll just super glue them in after when it's dry. Then pop those in the holes and added a bit more slip, and that's what keeps the teeth in place. And so far so good, the teeth are still attached. And then poke the hole in the middle for the eyes. And that's it, that's how to make the head for a little vampire doll. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.